Hi, I'm Jessie Ammett, your host of Valley News Now, and I have this amazing woman with me today, Carrie, who does this incredible photography. So I actually kind of just stole you from North Dakota Today. You're on North Dakota Today this morning. You're doing some things at Bonanzaville, and it's just so interesting. I couldn't let you go.
Yay, I'm glad.
Yes. So tell us about your incredibly unique photography.
So I do a process from the 1850s. It was invented in 1851.
Wow.
It's the second oldest form of photography that was widely used, and the reason why it was so popular, it was used until the 1880s when it was replaced by dry plate, which is a little bit more convenient if you're like up in the mountains or because you don't need water. But the reason why it was such a popular form of photography is it is the apex of photography, I believe, and it made it accessible to the common person. So this was the first time people were seeing themselves. And it's in silver, metal, and glass. So it's eternal. It's a beautiful image.
Think of that, being alive at that time, and now we have 8 million pictures of everything.
I know.
And it's just hard to imagine, like you've never seen a picture of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's that aspect of it, and then there's also the fact that these images take a lot of effort to make. And even back then, people could appreciate that and see that. It was like magic to them, but just to see the process of the handmade image.
Yeah.
And so that carries forward today even more so, because each image is a labor of love. So it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for me to go from the beginning to the end to make one image. And I don't know if it's going to turn out.
That's what you were saying, is that you've got to, so we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but you have a studio, but you go on location as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, you've got to have this running water, and you don't know what it's gonna be like. So you're gonna be at Bonanzaville. Maybe just talk a little bit about what that will be like.
So Bonanzaville I do every year because they have really supported me since I began 4 years ago, and I love the community, and it's a great venue. I mean, it's Victorian, prairie life. So I'll be there tomorrow from 11 until about 3:30. And normally these tintypes cost about $200 a piece. I'm doing full 8x10s. This is an opportunity for the community to have their portrait done for free. It's first come, first serve.
You're kidding, it's free?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. 11 to 3, go line up now, right now.
Yes. And my friend Kevin, I forgot to mention this earlier, but my friend Kevin, who is a very experienced Webley collodion photographer, he's semi-retired, but he's a wonderful person to meet. He'll be there assisting me.
Oh, cool.
So if I do get in the weeds, I have a friend.
You've got a friend. That's always nice to have a friend by your side. So about the process, why? Tell us about it and why it is so you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out.
So a basic rundown is I pour a chemical emulsion on top of a metal or a glass plate.
Okay.
And then I sensitize it in what's called a silver nitrate bath. That makes it receptive to light.
Okay.
And this is done in the dark room.
Sure.
And then I remove it from the silver bath in the dark room, and I place it into what's called a plate holder. So it's basically one piece of film, if that helps people understand.
Yeah.
It's not really a film, but one picture. I have one opportunity. So then I take that plate holder, I go out to the camera, and I take my exposure. The exposures I do are long exposures.
Okay.
So some wet plate artists have used a little more modern technology just to make it easier for the sitter across the United States and Europe. But I was taught traditionally, so I do long exposures, natural light. Each person has to sit still from 4 to 11 seconds in my studio.
Okay.
I have a little head brace.
That's cool. Reminds you, stay put.
Yeah, because our heartbeat's going, we're breathing, and we can't help but humans were meant to move, so it's hard. So after that's done, I take the exposure or the picture. I take the plate holder out, I go back to the dark room, and then I do in-hand developing immediately. I take that and put it in a bath of water, do some rinsing, and then I take it out to the person and we fix it so it comes to life right in front of them. And it's always exciting and an exciting moment just because I don't know if it's going to be good.
Right.
So it's am I going to disappoint them? I don't know. And sometimes you do. But as time has gone on, it's less and less, thankfully. But
and it seems to me an expensive process because this is one chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, the chemistry is super expensive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my chemicals involve pure silver.
Wow.
And silver keeps going up.
Right.
And then the collodion, which is the sticky emulsion that holds the silver into place, the ether, everything is, life is expensive. So
very, but such an incredible process. I mean, we don't appreciate what goes into that anymore because we've just, got the phone. So
Yeah.
to see that process. And then I was impressed too. She's looking at them and touching them and showing me, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
can touch it?
So I will show some. This was taken in Rugby. So my goal for 2024 is to travel to rural communities, and especially during their like historical festivals and historical landmarks, and capturing people who support these, and also our artisans that give of their time in the community
Right,
to do
right.
this. It's, blacksmiths, chefs, they come into these events.
they
it's-
do.
It really ties North Dakota together,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as with history, so it works well with what I do. I'll show you.
And
so-
this has never been done. We were talking around
Across
North
the
Dakota,
state.
across the state.
So
And so
nobody's-
this is an incredible project.
Yeah, and the reason why is because it's such a pain in the butt to carry everything. My trips, I went recently to Medora, thanks to funding that I got. So that was a big treat for me in July. And
And we just found out we were there the same weekend.
yeah,
Which is crazy.
It was a beautiful weekend. We had
was,
some
yeah.
smog, but it was beautiful. And I just felt like that is where my people are, these
Yeah.
festivals and things, because
Yep.
they connect with the process. They appreciate what it is.
Yep.
And then I thought, why don't I travel across the state?
Yeah.
And so I am going to do that. I'm doing that all summer of 2024 into autumn. I'll be at
wow.
all the fun little community that
Yeah.
I can, community events. So I'll show you another one. This is actually the new curator at Bonanzaville, and these are
Oh,
tintypes.
this is beautiful.
So I started this process doing what's called an ambrotype. It's exactly the same thing, just on glass.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And
That
a lot
is
of my
really cool.
yeah, so a lot of my fine art images are on glass.
What a keepsake.
But for these festivals, I feel like tintypes really fit the mood.
Yeah.
They were the most commonly used form of this photography.
Okay.
The ambrotypes were kind of phased out because they were fragile pretty quickly.
Oh, sure. That makes
So-
sense. Yeah. The tin
I will
is
show
gonna
you my
work a
friend. So
little
this
bit
is
better.
Kevin Klein's tintype. He's the one that's visiting me, and you can see it's hand tinted.
Oh, that is beautiful.
So this is a monochrome process. As you can see, this is how it is normally. And in the old days, you'll come across tintypes where they'll have like little rosy cheeks.
Yes.
They were taking pure pigment, and
And hands.
it's so crazy to do that because you could screw it up.
Right. And you have your one picture
Yeah.
that came out good.
So I
Wow.
don't do this.
It is really
Can we talk about the
beautiful.
double exposure?
Please. Yeah, this is so cool.
So some of the cool things that you can do with this photography in camera are these special effects. It is a limited process, unlike digital, but this was made in camera. This is Courtney from Carmen and Hayworth Vintage. She's modeled for me a long time. And this headpiece is made by the artist Erte. It's a historical piece. It was for a live Broadway production he did.
Gosh, it is
So
just
of course we had to
beautiful.
capture it.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought, well, two
what
is better than
way?
one.
Yeah. Right?
So we basically take one exposure in the camera. I mark my what's called ground glass with a
Okay.
marker, so then I remember where the first image was.
Oh,
I
sure,
take-
because you can't see it till the end.
right.
Yeah.
So then I take this the plate holder back out, reposition my model, and then I take the second exposure,
Wow.
and that's how we get this cool effect.
And it's all in a really short amount of time.
Yes,
So
so-
you're moving.
yeah. So I have about 8 minutes from beginning to end.
Oh my
That
gosh.
seems like a lot, but it's
No,
not.
it doesn't. Yeah. No.
Especially when you're like trying to get, you only have this one shot, you're trying to
Right.
get everything just right. And this is my studio actually,
This is beautiful.
and I believe you're going to be seeing this in the paper. I don't want to
Oh,
overstate what's going to
exciting.
happen, but
Yes,
that's what
that's the
I
plan.
believe is to briefly make an appearance in the paper. It's on 8th Street.
And it is a
So-
beautiful historical building. I'm going to just pop over to your website really fast where those pictures and a lot of other pictures are as well. So you can check that out at,
Oldschoolcollodion.com.
thank you,
Yeah.
oldschoolcollodion.com.
And you can book online too if you want.
Oh, that is awesome.
I am phasing out a lot of commissions during the summer and fall of 2024 just because I am focusing on traveling. I won't
This
have
is
time.
so cool. Right. You're going to be too
but
busy.
The winter is still ahead, and I could definitely have some visitors. So
Awesome. And then this is another inside of your studio, which
Yes.
is just, you said it's been untouched. And there you go, oldschoolcollodion.com. And Old School Collodion is what her Facebook, her Instagram, I'm just going to pop over to those. So this is an incredible opportunity at Bonanzaville. I'm kind of
Yes.
losing my mind over it actually right now. So from 11 to about 3:30, you're going to need to get in line because this is free. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind. I'm like, I have a trip. I think I might cancel it. So, oh my gosh, you got to go. And there's so many cool things going on at Bonanzaville too over the weekend. This photography is incredible. And so we got to talk, because I stole her from North Dakota today, we got to talk a little bit about her background and history and how you came to do this. So you're going to really want to meet this wonderful lady.
Yes, please come see me. I love meeting. I love meeting, especially everyone, but local artists. Also, if you are performing next year at one of these festivals, come talk to me. I'm trying to connect with as many of these locations as possible.
So that's what I was going to say. If you're a historical, place, you perform somewhere, how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
They can get a hold of me through any of my social media. I'm pretty diligent about checking it. I mean,
Awesome.
at most you'll wait 2 days. But yeah, it's where I connect with people primarily. And my business number is on my website as well.
Okay, I'm going to go over there again. So you can see, I was having trouble spelling collodion. So Old School Collodion. So you can see how you spell it, Collodion, Old School Collodion, Facebook, Instagram, and yeah. Like you said, you might have to wait a day or two, but that's pretty normal. I think that's pretty quick, actually, to get back to people. So this photography, it's just...
So you can see there that's the train, the iconic train of Bonanzaville. That was one of the most one of my most favorite moments. Was I went to Bonanzaville and I took images of all their historical buildings with the people who volunteer.
This is incredible.
And the train was my ultimate goal, obviously.
Yes, you got to get the train.
I love trains. I'm a big geek, so.
This is, we were geeking out on a lot of stuff. It's just the craftsmanship, is that the right word? It's just an incredible process. It's so neat to see and to think about it being, really almost 200 years old, 175 years old, and that you're bringing that to light here, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Quite
I
incredible.
love doing it.
Yes. Yes, I want to talk about your whole story because she's got such an incredible story. Maybe we can have you on another time and
Anytime.
just give you the history of all the cool things that Miss Carrie has done over the
that's
years.
so nice. Well,
I absolutely love it. So come and see her up in Annville. Line up. What a unique opportunity, and you can book online. If not, like she said, it's going to be a little limited, especially next summer. So you're going to want to get that in probably this winter.
Yeah.
Follow on Instagram and Facebook. Anything else, Carrie, you want to mention before I
will.
I'll
just mention one thing. So I have so I used to focus on fine arts.
Yes.
That was my main focus, getting art shows for the last 4 years. And my big blowout final solo show with fine artwork until the end of 2024 will be this October 20th is my opening reception in St. Cloud at the historic Paramount Theater. It's a beautiful space.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Yeah, so you'll see a lot of my art images are super theatrical because that is the theme. We're going out with a bang. And I won't have another solo show until I think it's September 2024. The Rourke Museum set me up with that. So
yes, I was just going to see if you had it.
I don't have it on here yet.
I bet you will, though. And so October
20th.
October 20th in St. Cloud.
Yes,
that's going to be amazing.
I know, and I'm doing a live demo, but they are choosing who they want to sit for me since they want their sponsors to enjoy the process.
Yes, it's a really neat. We talked a little bit too about when you did your building and how cool that was because you have a certain. I mean, it's just fast. You got to get across the street. You got to go back. And you had your hubby's help to get you in the picture, which was incredible.
Yes. So the way we take an exposure is we are the shutter. If you're a photographer, you know what that means.
Yeah.
So the lens cap is the shutter. So normally I'm the one removing the lens cap. So self-portraits, which I do, and
So the ones, I saw some of you.
Yeah. So those.
How do you do that?
I have to have an assistant.
Okay.
There are other ways, but that's the best way in my opinion. And so my last self-portrait, which was done on amber stained glass, this is a digital image of my good friend Chase Everett, who is an artist.
Beautiful.
Took, but my clothing self-portraits, they are only possible with my assistants. And my last assistant was a young girl who I mentored briefly from NDSU. Her name is Maria Bryan, and I really appreciated her help. Sometimes NDSU sends over people who are wanting to know about my crazy ways.
Oh, that's cool. That's so
and
cool.
I need all the help I can get, and I love company. So I often have very talented young ladies in.
That's awesome.
And so I've had all kinds of people help me do self-portraits, and all they have to do is remove the lens cap. I have done some in huge costumes, and I'm like running back and forth, and
Oh my goodness.
so it usually takes a couple
Because then,
tries.
once you've had the lens cap portion, then you've got to do your wet process.
yeah, so I
correct?
do everything else with self-portraits.
Yeah. So even though you had somebody else do this part, then you've got to run in whatever you're in, or across the street from the building, or whatever it is, to be able to do the wet process, all the chemistry.
Yeah, so I'll say one thing. I'll embarrass myself. My parents are watching, so I've done semi-nudes. I make sure everything's covered,
Right.
just to make an artistic statement.
Yes.
And when you're doing that with this process, it's kind of a nightmare, because most of them is wrapped in a sheet.
Right.
Because I want to be somewhat covered.
Right.
And so I'm running from posing and making sure everything's okay.
Right.
And then I'm running to the dark room wrapped in this gigantic sheet and running back and forth. And usually I think all of them took at least 4 tries. So they look so amazing and meaningful
Right.
and all this. But usually there's like a whole circus show going on behind the scenes.
That makes me think of when my kids were small and we did children's portraits, and you'd bring them there, and I'd have like treats and toys and all kinds of stuff to get this little cute picture. And it was like, that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah, I am the kid. No,
You are the kid, and the photographer, and
Yeah.
all of the darkroom assistant, and all of the things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite the crazy. Because I'm sure it's like, well, if the sheet falls, it falls. I got to do this right now.
And I will just say, if you're interested, if you're somebody who gets bored easily or hyper like myself, something like that, like this, even though it is a slow process, is really engaging.
I bet.
Because
yeah, you're not
it
bored.
is a circus show,
Yeah.
and it's difficult, and you never know if it's going to turn out. So it's easy to get obsessed with.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible. I'm so glad that life brought us together this morning,
Yes,
and I
it was
got
so
to have
fun.
you on. Yes, wonderful. So go see her up in Hansville. Check her out at Old School Collodion. It's Carrie. Thank you so much. And I am Jessie, your host of Valley News Now.